Good morning, everyone. Mike and Corey here on this nice green Monday. We love green Mondays. I'm back in the saddle here with Corey after we had the youth events of last week, bringing down the average age of the morning show by many years with him and Jaden. So today we have three exciting topics. One's kind of a continuation from last week. Bitcoin continues to run up, which is great. Another one is the largest populated country in the world. No, it's not China, it's India, but they came out with their inflation news, which I think is important. I know we always focus so much on China, but India is a big partner and a part of the world economy. And then Corey's going to talk about the latest Google AI deal as Google and these Mag 7 type stocks continue to expand into AI. So with that, I just want to remind you this is a financial education presentation. You must do your own due diligence on anything you hear in this presentation. More disclaimer information can be found on ankerstarwealth.com, and the opinions expressed are mine and Corey's alone. So let me start off with the green because we just like to see that green. So let me start off by sharing my screen. We see some green here in Bitcoin. Here, I'll go back to the U.S. market. It's the Nasdaq's up just a little bit. The S&P's down just a little bit. Nothing major of concern there. But in the crypto world or in the digital asset world, Bitcoin touched over 122,000. It sold off a little bit. It's down to 120 and change. I'm going to pull up the graph on this. And I guess what I've seen Bitcoin do is tend to find some areas. It stayed between 100 and 110 for about 2.5, 3 months, and many people were like, "Oh, did I miss the previous rally?" Yeah, you probably did, but that's okay. There's times to buy, and it continues to go up. But when it goes up fast. So we saw that last year. For 6 months, it traded between 50 and 70. And I know I made comments to Steve. I said someday it's going to go above 70 and it's just going to keep on going. And it did. And then the last few months has traded between 100 and 110. Will it come back and revisit those? Probably. You never know. That would be a buying opportunity. But right now it's ripping higher up over 120. So that's Bitcoin. Quick summary on that. What causes that? Some of it is there are only 21 million of these coins, and as long as a government continues to possibly print money to pay debt, it goes up. It call it a hedge against inflation, call it digital gold. There's lots of reasons why it's being added to portfolios. There's been more and more acceptance of it. So anyways, that's Bitcoin. Another one that I thought was very interesting, I saw this headline, and I recognize the size of India. India has a higher population than China, although it doesn't seem like we hear that, but they have passed China. And India's inflation cooled to 2.1%. Wow, there's a nice number, like just around 2%, like our Fed's target, but 2.1%. They call it a slide to more than a 6-year low. That seems like a good thing, especially when you consider their economy went up faster than expected by 7.4%. So that was the previous quarter. Tariffs may affect them, maybe not. But India is, I would say, a more friendly partner. It's almost like since they're a more friendly partner, we don't hear about them as much. So, when inflation is lower than expected, that's good. That means that, and I'm not exactly sure as far as their rate cuts, monetary policy compared to ours. They did cut the rates by 50 basis points back in May. And they had originally forecasted inflation of 2.5 and it came in 2.1. Maybe this could be a sign that the U.S. could do the same thing. Maybe. We don't know for sure. There's a lot of different factors in it, but if the largest populated country in the world is doing this, maybe the United States has a similar policy ahead where rate cuts could come if inflation continues muted. So with that, and I know we do get the question of, so should we invest in India? Yes, it is definitely on our horizon. We have invested in some ETFs related to India in our models. They've been in and out. A lot of it is dependent on the opportunity. I would say we do not feel comfortable enough to go out and say, yep, Corey and Jaden and I go out and really understand India companies. It's harder to get our finger on the pulse of those just because we don't know those as well. But so if we use an overall ETF or a way like that to invest in quality companies there, that's certainly an opportunity. What do you think, Corey? Have you ever been to India?
No, but I've had some really in-depth conversations with some Indian Americans, people who've come over and started families and things here, and yeah, I do think I have a pretty good grasp, as good a grasp as you could have on kind of some of the dynamics that benefit and also limit India economically, through some of those conversations. Of course, yeah, I've never been there, but yeah, it would be wonderful for the world to see India's economy continue to develop and mature over time.
And I will say, I have in my career worked with a lot of people from India. Fantastic, super intelligent people. The people that come over the United States are so intelligent and hardworking. And I will say they are much more cut to the chase of business than myself or a lot of the people in the United States. So I enjoy working with them and look forward to it in the future. So with that, and I'm sure Google, take it away, Corey. Tell us what's the latest with Google.
Yeah, absolutely. You got some important stuff to hit on here. I did just want to quickly highlight, this is a 5-year chart of Google. You're not seeing Google go on quite the run that you've seen a Meta go on or that you've seen an NVIDIA go on. So does that mean Google is out of the chase? Well, I wouldn't say so. Let's go look here. These are the top 10 companies in the world by revenue, This is not a top 10 in the United States. So top 10 in the world by revenue. Who's on there? Google's on there, about $360 billion a year in revenue. They should be surpassing $400 billion a year in revenue, so probably late next year on like a trailing 12-month basis. So obviously revenue is big there. And you'll see some of these big revenue companies, it doesn't even always imply that they're the best business model. Like, Walmart stock has been really hot. There's huge revenue, but that business model isn't probably as good as some of the other companies on the list, at the end of the day. Of course, you can't hate on the number one revenue company in the world. I'm not doing that. I'm just saying from a business model standpoint, some of these are a little more desirable than others. And what Walmart does is pretty tough, managing all that inventory and so on. All right, but what's Google doing? Are they kind of resting, sitting back? No, and we saw that the stock hasn't been as appreciated as some of its peers, Mag 7 peers, by the market participants. So are they just kind of accepting that fate, or are they doing something about it? And again, Google is one of those holdings that you'll see in Ankerstar Wealth models at a weight greater than what is held in the S&P 500 by the S&P 500. So Google is hiring the Windsurf CEO and more people at Windsurf. So OpenAI was trying to acquire this Windsurf AI startup. Windsurf, just really quick, I'll hit on just in case somebody isn't familiar. Windsurf is going to be this advanced AI coding partner there. So if you're creating code of any kind, Windsurf would probably be your go-to agent that's helping you create code, using the capabilities of AI. So it fixes and thinks 10 steps ahead. Cascade is their premier product or premier agent to help with this. You can go, if If you want to go to the website and read a little bit more about some of the things they do with helping people create code, then go ahead and do that. But what's Google doing here? So OpenAI was trying to acquire Windsurf in a $3 billion deal, and that deal fell apart. Now, same day that deal fell apart, Google and Windsurf announced some hirings of the Windsurf CEO, some of the startup's top researchers. We've seen Meta going after, Meta just went through the entire OpenAI cupboard and took all of their big top players. So these companies are really, really cutthroat right now with how they're going about this. So Google just completely went through the entire Windsurf cupboard and took everything they wanted. And then they're also paying $2.4 billion to license Windsurf's technology. So this is a strategy where Google is, in a sense, they are integrating all of Windsurf's technology into their portfolio of assets, but they aren't actually acquiring Windsurf. So they don't need any regulatory approval. So this is the new strategy. These companies are hiring all the top players at a company and then licensing the technology, which you can license it forever. And you could sign a deal for a forever license. So you're basically integrating it into your company, and you're not going through any regulatory process to do that. We might end up seeing that process get blocked, but for now, not in this deal, but in the future, that strategy might be cut back on from a regulatory standpoint. But for now, Google's using that kind of loophole to their advantage. So, then you've got the Windsurf team. They're excited to join. We saw Google do another acquisition a few months ago for the multi-cloud defense company. It was like a multi-cloud cybersecurity, not like government defense, but multi-cloud cybersecurity company. So by no means is Google sitting back and letting these things play out. Google is doing everything they can to swing big punches in this fight, Mike.
Wow. So you're saying instead of buying a company, since these companies are really knowledge based, you just buy the knowledge, you buy the top executives, right? I mean,
and then you license the technology. In this case, in Meta's case, they just went through the roster and they just snatched up all the best talent from OpenAI. And you saw Sam Altman do an interview. I'm sure you saw it too, Mike, but they're asking him, how do you feel? And he's like, yeah, fine, good. He's like crying behind his glasses. I mean, it looked very depressing, honestly. And, that's what's going on. This is like anything goes.
So you're saying I probably should block these calls I keep getting from Jamie at JP Morgan Chase? No.
Hey, if you're getting calls or emails from Zuckerberg, that's probably a pretty good deal.
We're putting this out on YouTube, so maybe we're going to be getting content, influencer calls, right?
Yeah, we're helping Google right now too. You're right.
All right. Well, I won't keep watching for those missed calls. Anyways, I hope everyone has a great day. We'll have more for you tomorrow. Thank you. Bye.